Hey everybody, it's great to see you. It's Cindy here. And today I want to talk about one of Jack Canfield's success principles. And this one is called Telling the Truth Faster. And he addresses this and many success principles in his book called The Success Principles. So feel free to check that out. Actually, let me show you really quick. This is one of my favorite books of all time. I've mentioned this one before, and I've studied this and this man's work extensively and often share his work with you. Anyway, I wanted to talk about this subject because of several things that have been happening recently in people's lives that I know. And first of all, Mark Twain says, when in doubt, tell the truth. So he's an author of many fictional books, Huckleberry Finn, Tom Sawyer, but apparently he believed in telling the truth faster as well and saw the benefits of it. Why do we avoid doing this? When we have things on our mind or in our hearts, why do we do this and not tell the truth? Not that we're necessarily liars, but we may just not fully discuss what is in our hearts or what is on our minds. And I think the main reasons are that we fear the consequences of being totally honest with someone or with people about a situation or whatever. And it's also, uncomfortable sometimes to tell the truth. It can be really uncomfortable. And we may not feel like we have the words and make it all tripped up and don't want to hurt other people either and tell ourselves the story sometimes that if we're totally honest that we will be hurting other people. And so all of that stuff can get in our way and stop us from telling the truth faster. But there are consequences of avoiding the truth as well and not dealing with what you know to be the honest truth on the inside. And that is that, you're really not dealing with reality then. You may be dealing with, Jack says, you may be dealing with what you hope will be true in your life or imagining what could be true in your life instead of what reality actually is. So, the saying, the truth will set you free. I don't know who said that or where that comes from, but I've heard it a million times in my life, and I have found it to be true as well, that the truth does set us free. And the reason it does is because even if there's people offended by what you say or some consequences that you were hoping to avoid or anything like that, there's also all these gains, right? First of all, there's like this relief that comes when you get the truth out there. When you tell the truth faster, you get to the position of relief faster. And then the other thing is that you're fully engaged in reality now at this point, which is from a place of integrity and authenticity, which are always peaceful states to be in. So even if there's consequences or things that you were hoping to avoid by avoiding telling the truth, at the same time you're going to have some relief come and help you realize, oh no, I'm actually better off that this is out there now, and I can deal with what's really my reality and my truth. So it frees you of energy, mental energy, emotional energy, and physical energy. And some people, after they've revealed the truth and are really dealing with life in a more authentic way, there's research that supports that physical ailments and conditions that have been around for years, sometimes it's migraines, sometimes it's high blood pressure, sometimes it's being overweight, sometimes it's mental health conditions, depression, anxiety, stress, emotional, moodiness. All these things sometimes get lifted completely and disappear, or at least are on the path of being lesser issues in the person's life because they're living with truth now instead of harboring secrets or denying themselves an honest reaction to their lives and to their relationships. And so it can clear you of some of the symptoms and things you've been dealing with that you don't don't want to have to deal with. So there's lots and lots of reasons to tell the truth. Some of the truths that you may be holding in that you don't even realize you are, but I want you to do a little check with yourself today, is do you have things that, resentments that are building up that you're not speaking about? Sometimes we bite our tongue, we bite our tongue, we bite our tongue again, we bite our tongue again in relationships or in conditions at work or with people we live with, anything. And so you may have resentments building up, and that anger and frustration that you're building inside is going to wear on you physically and emotionally and mentally. You may lose sleep, things like that. So check for those things that are building up. Plus, as the longer you let them build, the worse it's going to be when you have to release them and put them out there. So check for those. Check for unmet needs in your relationships or conditions around you. What do I need that I don't have? What do I really want in this environment I'm working in that I don't have, or in this relationship with this other person, or in my family, friendship, any kind of relationship? What are my unmet needs that I am not articulating? And consider telling the truth faster about those. And then another one is your appreciations for other people, or your true feelings, your very true feelings. Even this weekend, I told someone how I felt about them in kind of a deeper way than I'd ever mentioned before verbally, and it has opened things up wider in a lovely way. Now, it felt a little scary. I was a little fearful. I wasn't sure this person was ready to hear this from me, and did not know what that person's response would be to that at all. I just wasn't sure at all. And so it felt like a risk, but I told the truth faster. I decided not to hold back anymore, and it has opened the door to more positive in this relationship, and so I feel relieved and that kind of thing. So all these things I'm telling you, I've experienced myself for real as well. Another situation. Example, a long time ago, this is probably 5 years ago or so, I was, excuse me, I'd met a gentleman in a training I was in, and we had exchanged a lot of, we were communicating, we were long distance from each other. Actually, he's from another country even. And he was coming to the United States again, to another part of the country. He was coming to Florida for another conference, and he invited me to join him after that training was over for us to vacation together for a few days. And all the signals I thought I was getting was that this was a romantic-based situation. And I could tell you all the reasons, and you'd go, yep, yeah, that probably was. Right? So I agreed to this trip, and I'd been to Florida half a dozen times in my life, but I thought this is different because I'm going to join this gentleman friend of mine and see, where this relationship might go or whatever. So I got off the plane, and I got in the car, and he had texted me the day before I was to fly down to meet him, and told me that friends would be joining us and hanging out with us for a few days. And I thought, oh, okay, he's made some new friends at the training, and we're all going to pal around together in Florida. This will be fun. He's a very social guy. I'm a very social woman. And I trusted the situation entirely. And I should also say that I broke my wrist a couple weeks before, or was it even 2 weeks, and had surgery. And so I was extra vulnerable physically. Probably wasn't the wisest thing to get on an airplane and be running around Florida. But he was like, nope, come, I'll help you. Don't worry. I'm like, okay, yeah, because I didn't want to miss the chance to see him. It would be many months again before I would probably be able to see him and spend time with him. So I got down there, got off the plane. He greeted me. He said, oh, you look beautiful. Quick kiss on the cheek, hug. And then he put me in a car with 2 other women. And these were the friends we were going to hang out with. And he got in the front seat with one woman, and I was in the back seat with another woman. and we started down the road to travel quite a ways to get to the city we were going to from the airport. And I thought, well, why am I sitting in the back and there's a woman sitting up front with him? And that seemed a little odd. But there were three of us gals with him, and it all seemed a little odd. Well, pretty soon I realized that he had hooked up with this woman in the car. And they were now a couple. They had decided very quickly they were a couple. And so here I was. So anyway, long story short, I spent the next 3 or 4 days hanging out with a third woman. He was off with the other woman, and us two gals palled around together. This woman I didn't even know, who was also from another country. And she was very nice and everything, but I didn't need to spend, I think it cost me $750 or something to take that trip. I spent it with a woman I didn't know from another country. She was great. We had fun, but I spent very little time with him at all because he was now newly enthralled with this woman. And they just went off by themselves most of the time. And so this trip was nothing I expected it to be. And this guy and I were such close friends, and I really thought we're developing more. And so finally, I had the guts the last night of the trip to sit him down and say, I need to tell the truth faster. And I told him, what I had expected. I told him about my disappointment. I told him about my misinterpretation of his gestures and his invitation, and what I was wanting and what I had hoped for, and my disappointment and disregard and disrespect I felt from him. And he didn't help me with my arm. We didn't spend time together. I told him, I've hardly seen you. I didn't need to come to Florida to be in Florida. I've been in Florida 6 times in my life. I didn't need to spend this money right now at all if I wasn't going to spend it with you. On and on and on. I mean, we had a very respectful conversation. I just told him the truth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He listened to me genuinely, and he realized, wow, how he come across. And he realized how disrespectful he had been of me. He was great. It's a wonderful conversation. And so we cleared the air, and the friendship, remained, and I was able to, get to know his girlfriend and offer friendship to her as well. And I mean, it just, telling the truth faster was very freeing. If I would have done it even faster in the trip probably would have been a little different too. But I had to build up the courage to have that conversation. I was in so much shock that it took me a while. And 5 years ago, I wasn't as emotionally strong as I am now, honestly. And I certainly was not as strong in relationships with men as I am now. That was shortly after my divorce, and I was, going through a big transition at that time. So anyway, I just tell you that example to help you to imagine some of the situations in your life where you're not fully telling the truth, and how that is causing you stress, undue stress and strain, and perhaps some physical conditions or sleeplessness or who knows what else. And even, telling the truth faster can cost us. If we don't tell the truth faster, it can cost us. We can lose jobs over it. The consequences can be even greater. Lose relationships over it. Have money issues, that we don't need to have. So keep in mind those things. And ask yourself, in what areas of your life could your life be better if you are fully honest about what you need, what's been bothering you, what you're feeling, and just go for it and see how much better you feel being 100% in integrity all the time. God bless you. Hope you have a great day, and I'll talk to you again soon.